There wasn't enough room in Toyland to escape the terror that rocked Baby's cradle.
I notice you call him Baby, and the case history doesn't show any other name. What is his real name?
Just Baby.
To Baby, life was not a giant playpen. It was a living hell. He wasn't allowed to walk, he wasn't allowed to talk, but he was capable of it. Baby is a full-grown man trapped by 3 women with no way out.
Mama. Damn you.
Should have let them take him.
Alma, you're not talking about that circus.
Mm-hmm. They wanted to put him in a sideshow. We should have said yes.
You're calling your brother a freak.
Oh, Mama, I just thought it'd be better that way.
3, 4, close the door.
I just wanted to face you one more time to tell you that you're sick. You're the one who needs help, not Baby.
That's just so much horse. You want him for yourself. Well, agency or no agency, you ain't gonna get him. Because Baby belongs to us. No, to me.
He belongs to himself. He's not the subhuman thing you've made him.
What have you done to my baby? What do you want my baby? What do you want him? No, what's going to happen to my baby? What's going to happen to him?
The Baby, a Scotia International release, starring Anjanette Comer, Ruth Roman, Mariana Hill, Suzanne Zenor, and David Manzi as Baby. Rated PG.
Hi, welcome to BNS About Movies. This is Sam.
This is Becca.
And we're joined by 2 of our great friends. This is Bill.
Movie Buffs.
And Movie Buffs. Hi, Bill.
I'm Bill.
And
I'm Mark.
And we had a surprise movie. Bill told us he was going to hit us with the surprise, and so we're really excited. What is the surprise movie?
The surprise movie is a 1973 freak out known as The Baby.
You texted me during the drive-in.
Instead of a surprise, it's more of like a Christmas gift.
Yeah. During the drive-in, he texted me. He's like, "This movie is drugs."
It's fantastic. And this is definitely going to be one of the weirdest movies that you've ever seen.
So it's directed by like an A-list director, though, right? He's the same guy that did Magnum Force and Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
Yes. This was much, much earlier in his career, I think.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure what year those films that you mentioned...
I think the Last Planet of the Apes is like 75, I think.
Okay, so this was 2 years before that.
Yeah. But there's like actual, like, the lady from Strangers on a Train is in this, right? The mom.
Ruth Roman.
Ruth Roman, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So these
fucking
aren't
amazing.
Yeah, so these aren't like Z-list actors. Like this is like a regular Hollywood production for as crazy as the idea is.
Mariana Hill is in this film. She was in the lead in Messiah of Evil, and she's been in many other things. Blood Beach.
Oh, with John Saxon. That has the great tagline. It's like, "Don't worry about the water." Like is it always something like that? You won't even get there.
Just when you thought it was safe to go back in the water, you can't get to it.
That's the greatest. The trailer's great for that movie too.
And she was in a slightly better known film known as The Godfather Part 2.
What I love is the trailer for this movie, which we'll play before this. Anyone listening to it will have heard the trailer before we start this, and it was on a previous episode because Becca and I got obsessed with it after the trailer. Some crazy, insane stuff happens in the trailer, and then it's like rated PG, and you're like, how the fuck is this movie rated PG?
Yeah, you will wonder that after you've seen it.
Since the past weekend, seeing this trailer, I just get phone calls that start out with, "Where's my baby?" Not, "This is your husband," or "What are you doing?"
No.
Where's my baby?
Not to let you guys too much into our private life, but when Becca saw this trailer, she started jumping up and down in the car because there are often times when I'm sleeping, she'll come
make fun
over
of him,
and make fun of me and start grabbing my legs and going, does baby want me to diaper him? And like blowing on my stomach, like all sorts of like infantilism things, and she'd be like, come on baby, is baby sad? And like,
when he's sleeping on the couch, I tuck him in and I say, oh, does the baby like that? So this was way before this.
And when she saw it, she's
Before we
like,
knew about
is
it.
that how I treat you? I'm like, yes, you treat me like a mentally handicapped child that has been forced to
Yeah.
live there since his 20s.
You might see some of yourself in this film then.
What's going to happen to you?
What is going to happen to baby?
Would you like some trivia?
Yes.
It says that David Mooney shaved his whole body for this role as baby. It says that also to get in touch with his role, he worked with special needs children to learn how to act as a baby. The producer's son played the part of the infant baby. Todd Andrews, whichever part Todd Andrews plays in this movie, it was his final film before his death on November 7th at the age of 57.
He's in a party scene.
He died before the film's release.
Was this a major release, or was this kind of like just...
No, it was a major release.
Really?
I'm not quite sure who released it. I was trying to look that up right now.
So it says the soundtrack for this, he actually made the baby sounds, the actor,
Yeah.
and then somehow the track itself was lost, and babies were, what did you say?
ADR'd into
Yeah,
it.
real babies were ADR'd in.
Oh, that's cheating.
Mm-hmm.
My
I
favorite...
want a man baby's voice.
My favorite thing to do with my wife is, like, I've taught her, like, a lot of movie terms from working on stuff. And we watch, like, especially Italian movies, she's like, well, Day for Night. They shot this Day for Night.
Day for Night.
Like, it's like, there's certain movies, like
A lot of
Spookies,
things
where...
I did.
movie, by the way.
Which one?
Day for Night.
Yeah.
Horror movie.
Spookies shifts, like 5 times during one scene from day to night. It's...
Oh, yeah.
And not that you should look at Spookies as a great movie. Have you seen it?
No, I don't think so. You were telling me about it the other day. That was one of those movies that I wasn't into, like, Ghoulies.
There's one movie that's really dark and disturbing, and there's another movie that's just goofy, and they put the two of them together. Like there's one scene of these.
Sesame Street.
There's this one scene with these zombies attacking that should be really scary, and the other guy who bought all the footage just put fart noises in.
You know, maybe there's some way out of here. Maybe through some secret wall or
So the guys that shot the scene, they're like, oh, we're so excited to see how scary our stuff looked on screen. So we went to see it on 42nd Street, and he goes, and there's fart noises over our entire scene.
Wow.
I don't want to say it's good. It's not as good. Curtains is better. So maybe that's a good
Curtains.
a good level of barometer for you.
Well, yeah, Curtains really isn't all that great.
It feels like an episode of Murder, She Wrote without any like Jessica Fletcher to break through the stuff. It is even shot kind of like a Murder, She Wrote episode, other than the awesome ice skating scene, which is like a completely different movie, like patched into the movie.
And that doll scene where it's along the side of the road, like I think that's before the ice skating scene.
Yeah,
isn't it?
that's why we got the movie, because that's the trailer is mostly that doll scene, and Becca's like, wow, because she loves dolls and
creepy dolls.
Yeah, Annabelle. Dolls, yeah.
This was the same year as Magnum Force.
Oh, really?
1973. Yeah. Dawn Post.
You know what's fun? So have you ever seen...
Crazy. Like, my favorite thing to do, like, from Curtains.
Yeah.
I wonder if there'll be anybody in this that I'll know.
Yeah.
But, like, is watching a movie and then...
Ted Post.
Realizing who it is from a movie that I'm more familiar with. Like that lady from Curtains.
Samantha Eggar?
No. Did you ever see... Did you ever see that movie, The Other Sister?
Yes.
Juliette Lewis?
Yes.
So remember the woman who plays her mother's rich friend? The one who has, like, the puppy adoption thing and stuff?
Oh, yeah.
She's in that! In her, like, 20s.
Who is she?
She's the
I
one
can't remember
with, like,
her
the
name.
perm, like...
I know, but what's her name? We have to look her up and see who she is.
I will, but, like, I'm watching that, and
It's on the
he
tip
said
of my
it.
tongue.
He goes, she was in, because Sam was reading me the trivia from that movie, he goes, she was in The Other Sister, and I'm trying to, like, don't tell me which one she is. And then just briefly, I saw her face, and I'm like, that's that lady. Like, I love finding that in movies, where, like, it's a movie that I'm more familiar with, and, like, to see how they've aged and stuff, and be like, oh my god, they did this movie. So I'm hoping maybe that'll happen in this movie. Is there anybody I might recognize?
Michael Pataki's in this movie, and
I know that.
you've seen him in a million things. He was in Grave of the Vampire. Did you see that one?
Yes.
The one with his name was Croft, the vampire Croft. What else was he was in the Bat People? Everybody hates that movie because it was on Mystery Science Theater. And, you know, any movie that's on there, we have to... Oh, Michael Pataki was in Halloween 4. Dr. Hoffman.
Oh, yes.
That's Michael Pataki.
Oh, okay. She was Linda Thorson.
Okay.
And she plays Drew and the other sister, that rich lady who puts on the party.
Okay.
She's the one that says, whatever your name is, your daughter's barking.
Yes.
You know what I wish
I can't believe you know that movie.
I love that movie.
Oh, we have it.
I saw it once.
My best friend that was here from Michigan, that movie came out when we were still in high school, and we used to call each other Daniel and, what's her name? She goes, do you love me, Daniel?
You know what I wish they would play at the drive-in that they don't have? Is they always show...
Sister?
No, yes. Yeah, it'd be like a night of Mario Bava and the other sister.
Can we have that in 35 millimeter, please?
Yeah, and that goes on at 4. That's the last movie when it's getting light out. The other sister, that would creep everybody out at the drive-in. No, I like, they always show that horror ritual thing with the guy who was Janos Sikowski. But they always show the first part of it. Like, it'd be neat, because I've watched the thing on YouTube where he did the whole speech before Dracula 72.
Oh, yeah.
Where it was like you had to, like, speak along with him and then talk about how you devote yourself to Christopher Lee and all this stuff. It's like the weirdest thing that's in it. And he did that, like, right around when he did Night Stalker. We got Night Stalker for $12 for the whole series.
Oh, I love that series.
At Walmart.
Do you know that as a child I would dress as Kolchak when I was like 4? And I would walk around with a camera and take pictures of things.
That's awesome.
In the seersucker suit.
And I had a little hat like him, and my dad made a press badge for it. Yeah. My dream would have been if Darren McGavin was still alive, I would tell him, like, that's what I did as a child. Like,
wow.
Then, you know what? I grew up, like, so I would have been watching it in, like, 76. So this is post when it actually aired. So I was watching it. Do you remember the CBS all-night movie mysteries?
Oh, yeah.
And it would start at like 12:10.
That's when I saw it.
Yeah. And it would go till like 2:30 in the morning. Like, they would stretch an hour show into like 2 hours. Like, who knew McCloud could be 2.5 hours for one episode? And McMillan and Wife. And but that was like why I loved summer more than any other season, because you could stay up all night and watch McMillan and Wife and all those stupid shows.
The Night Stalker was it was on CBS in 1979 because I was in North Carolina visiting my grandparents, and they were living in this huge spooky house. And I would stay up late at night when everyone else was asleep and watch The Night Stalker and piss myself.
That's another thing. I would look in TV Guide to see when Night Stalker was coming back. 'Cause they cycled out the shows, and there's only, like 16 or 17 episodes of it.
Yeah, it only ran for one season.
Yeah. It's crazy, because, like, the original 2 TV movies were, all the way until, like, the 90s, like, the top-rated TV movies of all time. The series it's good. I love it. But it's nowhere near as good as the first 2 movies.
A couple of them are.
The zombie one is, to me.
The zombie's great.
Yeah.
The Ripper.
Yeah.
That's a fantastic episode.
It's funny because that era of TV, there's a lot of horror movies that rival... they're better than horror movies coming out today. Trilogy of Terror is better than probably any horror movie that will come out this year, I think. And then definitely, like, Gargoyles is really great.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, with
That's
Bernie
my first
Casey.
horror movie, Gargoyles.
Yeah. I remember my dad would tell me, like, don't watch that movie. It's too scary. And I'm like, what? Like, today when I watch it, I'm like, maybe, but, you know, we've watched a lot of crazy stuff. But Gargoyles isn't that scary. But for the time, I think it is. This is what, like, in early 70s.
How old were you when he said that to you? I mean, like, you're not that age
anymore.
anymore.
7 or 8, yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I remember when they made a big deal when 22 started that they were going to play Night of the Living Dead on 22. Because this is, again, before these movies didn't play all the time. And I remember my dad, like, telling me in hushed tones of, like, oh, there's a scene when, you know, they don't know where the zombies are and they're hiding behind these sheets and it's really scary. And I was like, my dad tells me this movie is scary. Like, Night of the Living Dead, like, almost had this, like in like 78, 79 when you're a young kid, it had this like, if you watch this movie, you're probably going to die. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think any movies, maybe Sado, or it's like that today. Do you know what I mean? But it's like, there's not many movies where today that you think about them and you're like, oh, you shouldn't watch that movie. Like, that movie is like real bad. Maybe Dr. Butcher.
That was ingrained on people's psyche as a movie that really would frighten you if you saw it. Because a lot of the people that originally saw it, they weren't expecting it to be as violent and as dark, explicit as it is.
Yeah.
And, you know, that more than anything else, probably.
Well, now you watch it and you're like, oh, well, they're just eating fried chicken. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we're a little smarter to the game now. But I think, as a kid, but I just remember that being a movie like the first comic convention I went to was at Monroeville Expo Art in like 87. And Kyra was one of the guests, Kyra Sean. And I was like, oh, I don't want to, I'm too afraid to meet her. Do you know what I mean? I was like, when I was like 14, do you know what I mean? Maybe I'm like, oh, I don't know. I don't know about this. But I don't know if there's any movies like that. That's why I'm excited about watching this movie, because like, it feels like this movie kind of like snuck up. There's movies that disappear. Do you know what I mean? Or like people kind of find after a while, and it's like a big deal when they rediscover them. And it's like, it feels like this is like one of those movies where it's like nobody was talking about this movie for a while. And then when this Blu-ray came out, it was like, especially the trailer getting unearthed a bit, like it's like, wow, this is something to see. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, you mean The Baby?
The Baby, yeah.
Are we back to talking about The Baby again?
Well, yeah, it's like, I was looking at it and I cycled back around to The Baby. But do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't seem, this isn't a movie where people will talk about in the same hushed tones as like the Tombs of the Blind Dead or something, but it has a weird cult of its own.
It does, yeah. I mean, you depend. It depends on who you ask. I haven't actually read a lot of things that have been written about The Baby, but I know that you know Lee Gambon. He's an Australian author. He has books coming out about The Howling, Cujo.
That's cool.
He loves this movie, and I think he's written about it. And so he's always talking about it on Facebook, and I wrote a blog post on it years ago. So you didn't introduce me as to who I am.
Yeah, why don't you tell everybody who you are?
Why don't you tell everybody who I am?
Bill is real important.
Yeah, we kind of forgot that whole...
No, Bill Bill does the Driving Asylum zine, which I have written for and drawn some stuff for, and Groovy Doom.
Yes, that's my film blog. And I also curate a Facebook page where I share vintage newsprint images of horror, cult, exploitation films.
And you just wrote for Diabolique.
That's right. I contributed my first piece to Diabolique magazine, the online site, not the print.
Yeah, and what's
magazine.
about the?
It's an interview with an actress named Linda Gillen, and she's been in a handful of cult films that nobody seems to ever talk about. I'm huge fans of them. One of them is The Magic Garden of Stanley Sweetheart, and the other one is called The Folks at Red Wolf Inn, a.k.a. Terror House, and numerous other titles. But Linda's the star of both of those films, and she's made appearances in numerous other films too, including Windows. Do you know what Windows is?
No, I've heard of it.
Sequel to Curtains.
No, it's the prequel to Curtains. It's
Windows.
That's what you would get before.
Yeah.
That alone is more brilliant than anything in Windows. Windows was a thriller made by the cinematographer of The Godfather, Gordon Willis.
Oh.
He only directed one film. It was like a psychological thriller slasher where Elizabeth Ashley plays a lesbian who's obsessed with Talia Shire, her neighbor, has her raped by this sleazy cabbie who records her while he's raping her.
You're making this movie sound awesome. So
and he plays and Elizabeth Ashley pays him because apparently she has limitless wealth. And she pays him to do this to Talia Shire. And then when Talia Shire moves, she follows her and spies on her through her window with a high-powered telescope.
Like Hitchcock spying on actresses.
It's the strangest film, one of the strangest films that you could ever hope to see.
Is it good?
No, it's not good at all.
Most movies
But I mean,
are good.
but it is. It
In
is,
its own grimy way, it's good.
It is good, but not for any reason that you'd be expecting. It's more like a visual experiment. It's hypnotic.
Is it like
and not always in a good way either?
Like an Argento kind of?
No, God, no. It's just it's a very static film. It's a lot of talking heads, strangely lit by someone who is a cinematographer too.
It feels like who's the guy that's in The Fury? Famous actor.
Kirk Douglas?
Not Kirk Douglas. The one whose head blows up at the end of it. John Cassavetes.
Oh.
Where like Cassavetes movies are like that, where it's very actory heavy movies, where the camera doesn't move a lot and it's like long kind of back and forth soliloquies like at the camera. But like a horror movie, like that kind of movie.
Yeah, it's just a very strange, slow moving film. But Linda had a part in it that ended up getting cut down. A lot of her lines got cut because Gordon Willis he just filmed this one scene of Linda. She played a police woman in it, and she and her partner were going to interview Talia Shire after the rape, and they're walking up the stairs to this brownstone where she lives. She said it took them a week to film that like several second shot.
Like a Kubrick kind of. Like,
yeah, because she said he made them get there in the morning. Like they had to do like a 4:30 call and be in hair and makeup and go out there in Brooklyn Heights to film this scene. And he'd say, well, we're not going to do it today because the clouds don't look right. And she said he did that for an entire week and they didn't make any progress on it.
That's what I love when there's these guys that do have some money making a movie. And they're just like Kubrick is a good example. Where it's like, I'm just going to shoot this scene again and again. It's like, well, you're never not going to need this. Mm-hmm. Like getting all that coverage. Like, why are you getting all that coverage? I'm looking at Talia Shire's list of films she was in, and that is not listed in one of the big ones.
Well, ironically, Scream Factory is resurrecting Windows for a Blu-ray.
Oh, really?
And they lured Talia Shire out of seclusion.
Uh-huh.
She wasn't, from everybody that I knew that knew anything about it, she was in seclusion for all these years and she wouldn't talk to anybody.
Yeah.
Now she did an on-camera interview about Windows.
So, The Baby...
We should get back to The Baby.
The Baby. So we're going to watch The Baby and then we'll come back. And if you can get a copy of this, it's a Severin DVD release. I'm not telling people to go to YouTube like I usually do and watch. Like that's what I'm like. Well, yeah, I watched this movie on YouTube.
It's not even that expensive. It's well worth it.
Hello. You know, when you fix an Italian food, everything has got to be just perfect. Especially when you're making a pizza. I'm going to show you. Looks good? You betcha my life. And it's delicious. That's the pizza you get at the theater. So hurry up. Get yourself some.
All right, so we just watched The Baby, and Bill just asked if I see the ending coming. I don't want to ruin it on the show. I don't think we should spoil it.
I don't have to spoil it to say that there was a twist ending.
There's a twist ending. Yeah. And not an M. Night Shyamalan cheesy twist. It's like, oh, that's where they were going with it. Now it all makes sense. So my question is, who was this movie for? Do you know what I mean? Like, what audience was like, I really want to see a movie about a grown infant and his incestual sisters. Also, this proves that we're going to put you on the FBI watch or like some kind of watch list for our podcast because this is like the 9th incest movie that we've watched.
Child Services is going to come here.
Yeah.
They're going to ask about your baby.
But it's true because like Amityville 2, you're like, it always takes us by surprise. Like Amityville 2, like, he's not going to sleep with his sister. Yeah, he's going to sleep with his sister. But he's really a demon, so does that count? They were both into it. They were into it before the demon happened.
Yeah, that was...
Yeah, I seem to remember that from that film. There was an implication. I think.
The girl who was in that was a Green Tree HorrorCon thing. And like
Diane Franklin?
Yeah. Because she was in Better Off Dead, too.
You're right, yeah.
And so she was, like, signing stuff, and I'm like, I really want to walk up and ask her about incest in that movie.
What did you want to ask?
Diane Franklin, yeah. Plus, that's also written by, Tommy Wallace.
Oh, right.
Wrote that, too.
Yeah.
That's another movie that proves to me he hates kids. Do you know what I mean? Because it's just like, oh, well, a lot of kids are going to get shotgun blasted in this movie. And in other movies, you're like, well, they won't show that. That'll just be implied off camera. Nah.
That one was a little explicit.
That's a pretty grimy movie for a major studio release.
That's why I love it.
Yeah.
It's so much better than the first one, which I thought was really boring. But Amityville 2, plus Britannia Alda from Mommy Dearest
Oh,
is
isn't it? And what's his name? The dad is Burt Young.
Burt Young. I was going to say Burt Young, and then I'm like, no, I don't think it was Burt
And
Young.
Andrew Prime too. What's weird about this is it is like one of the few movies of the 70s, 80s Satan genre where the Catholic Church does nothing effective whatsoever. Do you know what I mean? Actually, everything they do is the exact opposite. Like,
Yeah.
this girl, his brother's been having sex with her, and her family's really screwed up, and her dad abuses her. Let's go skiing. And the other priest just takes the phone and puts it off the hook, and you're like, wait, what? What is wrong with you? But the baby, anyways. Well, Becca and Mark are outside. I liked it. It's certainly something.
But yeah, it's nothing what you're expecting it to be, and that's why I like it.
Like, I wish I could have been in the pitch meetings and stuff of it.
Well, there are other films that are like this. I mean, this was after One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yeah.
I mean, and it was sort of a hybrid of a mental illness film like that. Even Don't Look in the Basement.
Yeah.
From the same year.
It has some elements
was
of
reminiscent of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
It has a little bit of exploitation in it too.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Where it's like it feels like kind of TV movie-ish in a way where it's like it's a really simple story told pretty quick. It's not a long movie.
Right. It's but and this is what I wanted to ask you. The movie's rated PG.
Yeah.
Don't you think it's really out there for a PG movie?
It's way out there because so much of what gets things ratings, there's been things that have gotten ours before because it's just subject matter. Like, it has
right.
like, there's a lot of sex in this. Even that line, she's like, whenever she's talking, she's like, do it with me the way that I want it. Whenever she's telling her, it's like, okay, well, I could take that and apply that a lot of different ways. And there's a lot of, like, almost like kink in that, within that scene.
Yeah, you see, she's putting his finger in the flame and he's doing it.
Yeah, and it's almost like almost like S&M-y a little bit, and it's like, yeah, and that's a PG. But you know what? Maybe PG in the 70s is. It's weird though, because there's other movies that got X's, like I Drink Your Blood is an X for violence, and it's gory, but it's not. Maybe I'm basing it on like a Fulci level gory, where it's just where it's just like, well,
it's just brutal. I Drink Your Blood.
Yeah.
But the baby, I thought it was particularly outrageous that when the older sister goes and gets into bed naked with baby.
Yeah.
And you think, like, that's in a PG film?
And that's the thing, is that
you don't see anything, but just the implication of it.
Even him sucking on the girl's nipple.
Yeah.
He's like he's been portrayed as he is mentally handicapped.
Yeah.
Or at least has some issues. And it's like, oh, and now he's having sex with a normal woman. And it's like, well. And then that whole scene where she's like, yeah, I'm not wearing any panties. I never do. Like, you couldn't even really say abortion on TV, because this is made around when, like, Maude had the abortion episodes.
Oh, right,
and
yeah.
that was, like, a big, like, oh, we might not air these episodes. So it feels really weird how that got. The MPA is so weird, though. Like, you know what I mean? Like, when I was a kid reading, like, Warzone and Fangoria, it was always these, like, I can't believe how many cuts they put in this movie. And, you know what I mean? They made us take all this stuff out.
Yeah.
And it's like, I was always obsessed with that, where it's like there's this somehow greater cut of movies. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's like so much taken out of like House by the Cemetery, or not that as much as like Zombie 2. There's a lot taken out. Like in like Seven Doors of Death has different stuff cut out.
Yeah, Suspiria does.
Yeah.
There's a lot taken out of Suspiria.
I was going to ask you, did you hear about not that I want to ever see it, but the remake that they're working on?
Oh, yeah.
Where it's like, it's not going to have bright colors, and it's going to be dark and realistic.
Tilda Swinton's in it.
Oh, really? I try to give things a chance. But it's like, how hard is it just to make your own movie?
I know. Really. Like, why would you need to remake Suspiria?
It's like, they're like, well, we're going to, here's what the problem I have with modern movies. I finally figured it out over the last couple weeks. I've been trying to divine in my head, why do I hate so many movies? It's like they spend so much time on the motivations and the hero's journey and setting up why things are happening. Like, that's why I don't like the Rob Zombie. The Rob Zombie Halloweens have a really nice look to them. Do you know what I mean? And there's some great scenes, but I don't need to know where Michael Myers came from.
Right. I'm so glad they didn't. Don't tell Becca, but I really hate that movie because that's the opposite of what made Halloween scary.
Like 100%.
Halloween was scary because there was no connection to these girls, and this was just a crazy person that escaped from a mental institution.
And I like where they took Halloween too, because it's like, oh, okay, well that kind of makes.
It was cute.
It's cute. I more like that movie, like, because I love the review you wrote of it, and I do refer, like you said, it's an American Giallo. Like it's it's very much just like, except you know who the killer is, but it's very unrelenting, and it's very just. I like when they're like, well, Giallos are kind of anti-woman. Like, no, they're anti-everybody. Just people die in horrible ways. Do you know what I mean?
Halloween 2 is an anti-woman.
No, I think it's pro. Well, the woman survives. Do you know what I mean?
There's a female survivor.
That's my problem with the Rob Zombie one. Is like there's so much time spent. That the one thing I do like about the second is just so improbably over the top.
It's ridiculous.
Where the kid gets hit by the
It's absolutely ridiculous.
Like right there, you're like, oh, you're not in the same. I almost think you're not in the same universe as the first movie. But this is like this parallel new universe where, like, all the thought of like because Loomis couldn't keep him together, keep him in the asylum. He just went as crazy as him. Do you know what I mean? And he's leading the cops on this fucking goose chase, and then everything in her head is like she's on drugs and in the hospital. That scene where she goes outside the hospital and he's coming behind her, she's trying to get back in and knock on the doors. Like, that's awesome. Like, and that's the thing is like I don't know how much. I think there's parts of that feel, and this might be fanboy. That part feels like Carpenter directed that part. Do you know what I mean? And like the part going through the basement and stuff. There's parts where it feels like more of his hand in the movie than other scenes in it. But it's the Tobe Hooper, Steven Spielberg thing. Like, who knows?
Well, he did direct certain sequences of the film. That stuff with the Darcy and Pamela Susan Shoop. He directed that. He directed that part with the boombox boy.
Oh yeah. Because
there was another sequence in Halloween 2 that got cut out. Did you know about that?
Mm-mm.
The blonde reporter, you know Dana Carvey's in the movie.
No.
You don't know Dana Carvey's in Halloween 2?
No, I don't. No.
Yeah, he's at the beginning.
Oh, wow.
He's when they're outside of the Myers house with the TV crew. You can see Dana Carvey taking orders from a blonde news producer. There was a whole sequence with her where they explained that's how Michael Myers got to the hospital because she decides she's going to go to the hospital and interview Laurie Strode, the survivor.
Oh, and he kills her. And
he hides in her trunk.
Uh-huh.
There's a suspense sequence where she gets a flat tire and she pulls off the road and like you know he's in the car.
Is this filmed?
Well, I don't know how much of it was filmed because eventually it was taken out probably at a real early stage, yeah.
What I'm always amazed is like at the same time because he was on set at the same time shooting the TV version.
Yes.
Like the 12 minutes that kind of fills in, and then that's more where the giveaway that he's her brother, the Sam Hain thing written on the thing, and that's. But you know what's cool about that is like I've heard some people explain that the mask company that makes his mask is also Silver Shamrock. And it's like, that's why he's also tied into the Celtic thing that is what 3's all about, too.
Oh, that's kind of pushing it, don't you think?
I think a little. It's like, that's the thing, though. And we've talked about that we like 3. I'm sure, on the show we've talked about it. I know that you love 3 a lot, too. And it's like, I really wish that it had been successful. And I think I don't know. It's funny, I always think these great horror movies, like if the internet was around, like, what movies would have been completely buried? Do you know what I mean? Or not found an audience? But it's like, these movies had, like, years to find an audience. Like, Halloween was in theaters forever. And stuff that you're posting, whereas, like, it got re-released tons of times. And even after it ran on TV, people still wanted to see it. Because it wasn't like you couldn't see it on HBO.
Yeah, it only showed, like, they only ran movies for a month, and then they were HBO.
Unless it was like Sharky's Machine, and then they just ran that movie. And The Car.
The Car.
The Car was on, I swear to God.
The Car had its own weekly series.
I must have watched The Car. I don't even know if Becca won't watch The Car for the show. Like, I've tried to get her to watch The Car, and she will not watch it.
Why?
She's like, it's a piece of shit. Like, I have no interest in watching it. And I'm like, you love Jaws. It's the same fucking movie.
The car is fantastic, I
This-
have to say.
The scene where what I love about the car is you expect in movies for the heroine or like little kids or like nice people not to get killed, because like post
Yep.
ET and do you know what I mean, like that blockbuster era that happens. Like there's the literally up until this point the heroine of the movie is like sitting there talking and you see the car coming through the window.
It takes her out.
Yeah,
right
and
in
I
the
remember
living
being a
room.
kid and I'm like, shit, nobody is safe in this movie.
Mhm.
Like everybody, and that's what I loved about it, I think. But my grandfather was obsessed with that movie. He really did buy the horn, and he had an El Camino, and he would drive through the yard, destroy his front yard, and just be honking the horn, go screaming, "Sammy, the car's outside!"
Where did he get the horn?
He got like an air horn. Like there was those boxes you could get that played different songs, like Dixie,
Okay.
and it could adjust your horn sound. It sounded just like it. Supposedly, that's the. I think I can't remember what it is. It's the Morse code for something. It says on the IMDb. It was like the Morse code for dead or something like that. That's the sound that the horn makes.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I never knew that.
I can't remember what it is. It's like it's for XXX or something like that. But it's like a death kind of code. That's what it is.
That's great.
Yeah, I love that on some cuts of it you can see the car kind of going through LA at the end and like driving through the streets. Yeah, it's in my
Over the end credits.
You know how? Do you ever look at the lists that people make on IMDb?
I've made a couple of those lists.
There's a lot of people like, here's the movies I've seen, and it's just like crazy movies like that don't tie in together. I'll have to check out yours. I want to make a list of movies that Anton LaVey worked on for real, like not Rosemary's Baby, because he has nothing to do with it. People are like, oh, he was the devil in it. No, he wasn't.
Yeah, that's not true.
Yeah, Devil's Reign, definitely he was there for that because Anton First was in the Church of Satan, so he was, and that's the movie that ruined his career post Dr. Phibes.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
You were asking me about The Baby and what audience it had been made for, and another thing about The Baby that I've noticed in the way it's marketed too in newspapers, there was an adult feel to it.
Yeah,
like I think I might be mistaken, but it may have been listed as rated R in certain ads.
Yeah,
because they made it look like it was an adult film.
Well, from the poster, the video screen that's up there right now, that is all sex right there. With the one sister wears like you can pretty much she's in hot pants the whole movie.
Yes,
and it's very like it's not shot like a Russ Meyer movie, but it is very much like in those like kind of nudie kind of feel of the way that it's paced. Do you know what I mean? Like there's a couple sex scenes in a row, like you said, the bed scene with her getting in, the scene with the babysitter. It's really set up kind of like a sex drama kind of thing, but it's not.
It's implied, but there's a certain like level of kinkiness to the whole thing.
It was much more than a PG movie.
Yes.
This movie was rated PG. Did you realize that was PG, Becca?
Trying to think of a good thing that PG can stand for.
Pretty gross.
Pretty gross.
But it's like Midnight Cowboy. The opposite way is Midnight Cowboy is an X movie.
Yeah.
And if you watch it today, you're like, that's not really.
Even Beyond the Valley of the Dolls, I don't see what's X-rated about that.
You know what? That makes me like it so much more. That it had an X rating. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, definitely.
I think that's in. We always talk about like what's your favorite movie, and that's like in my top. I say 3 to 5 movies. I think in a weird way we share like a lot of top favorite movies. Like Flash Gordon's in my top like 5 favorite movies probably too. Because what I love about it, I was just reading an interview with Sam J. Jones the other day, and it's like he's like, all this science fiction at the time was becoming grimmer and grittier, and like especially post Empire. Everything's like so dark. You know what I mean?
It's like a Disney movie.
And it's beyond. It's like, what if
lands and all the different
everybody's gonna wear glitter and disco outfits and like everything's gonna be over the top. But that's a PG movie, and there's a lot of sex stuff in that movie too.
Yeah,
like there's an incest thing in that movie. Whenever Clytus is talking about using that ring on it, and he's like, "Oh, her." The way she reacts, it's even better than your daughter, Lord Ming. It's like, oh, Ming used his ring on his daughter at some point, and that's a PG movie.
He makes a sexual remark about Aura too.
Yeah,
like Ming does.
Yeah, like, oh, another your conquest, and she's like, oh, Daddy. She was in jail for a while. The lady who played Ara because she was sleeping with Vladimir Putin and had
really?
and had, left Russia to sleep with him, and she's been she's like a big supporter of him.
Pick that up, would you? I love her.
That movie's great. So we talked during the break. We didn't record it. We should.
My next car on a vanity plate.
Yeah.
That says boar worms.
Boar worms.
Oh my God.
No, Daddy, not the boar worms. To me, it's like junk food, but in a good way. Like I don't believe.
Yeah.
I hate when people say like, "What's your guilty pleasure?" And I'm like, I like a lot of shitty movies. Do you know what I mean? There aren't any guilty pleasures to me.
Yeah, guilty pleasures. What's that?
Falling asleep to Halloween every night.
Falling asleep to Halloween too.
We were talking about Halloween too while you were outside.
The first time he spent the night in my apartment, I put in DVDs and listened to them while I fall asleep. Well, I didn't have a sleep timer on that TV, so the TV will just keep going, and it'll go to like the DVD screen where it just keeps playing the song over and over again.
So she would sleep to the Halloween
wake up
song.
at like 3 in the morning and Halloween's playing the music. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and she's just sleeping like a baby. Mm-hmm. Not the baby.
The baby.
The baby. So do we want to say anything else about the baby?
I think it.
I
like
the twist.
Yeah.
Can't say much more. Did we give it away? Or
no, we didn't give it away.
No. Yeah, I can't say.
Yeah. It's not like we told everybody that, the twist from I think you could give away the twist from Beyond the Valley of the Dolls and still enjoy the movie. Do you know what I mean? Versus I think this movie
you
you
watch
should
it for 5 minutes and you
Yeah.
enjoy it. You're like, what's going on?
You know, you were saying like the first time you saw a movie, like it blew your mind. The first time I saw Beyond the Valley of the Dolls, I was like, what the fuck am I watching? You know what I mean? Like there's the
by myself in the middle of the night. It was just on TV. I think it was during Christmas, and I worked late that night. So I was actually up like wrapping presents at like 1 in the morning, and I just had it on.
Yeah.
So it was like interesting. There was music. I was like halfway in all of the stuff I was doing was just staying there. I'm like, what am I watching?
It's like, so girls giving a blowjob to a gun, and then a Nazi gets a piranha thrown in the bathtub. It's like, and we're not even 2 minutes into this movie, and then it starts at the end, like Sunset Boulevard. Do you know what I mean? And then it rewinds, and then it rewinds itself back, and then you're like, oh, a major studio put this movie out. That's why I love Skidoo too, because it's like I love when major studios put out movies that you're like, how do
you have Skidoo?
I don't. I've been looking for it.
I had it and I lent it to somebody and never got it back.
No, we still have it.
Do we really have Skidoo?
Mm-hmm. It's in one of those wallets.
It is such a weird movie. It's like, how did this... literally, there's so many movies like that where I'm like... The other movie that I'm obsessed by is Post Easy Rider. Dennis Hopper did that movie, The Last Movie. Have you ever seen it?
No.
So it's about a stuntman who films this movie in, somewhere in Africa. And he falls in with the natives, and he becomes part of their rituals, and they reenact the crucifixion with him. So that's kind of narratively what it's like, except Dennis Hopper was on a ton. There's a movie about the making of it that's better than the actual movie, kind of like Hearts of Darkness is better than some of Apocalypse Now. And it's him, editing, and he has these huge film canisters just filled with coke. And
God.
There's 4 girls with him, and he's just screaming at the editor of how he wants to change the movie. And then at some point, he's like, I should show this movie to someone and see if it's good. So he picked Alexander Jodorowsky to show it to. And Jodorowsky was like, this movie makes too much sense. It's all shit. Fuck your movie. Big Hollywood star. He's like, destroy all of it. Restart again. He's like, says to the editor, let's redo it. And the resulting mess, killed him. That's why, he disappeared from Hollywood for, all this time. And he, until, that's what, Apocalypse Now really is kind of coming back to being in a major movie. But that was 72 he did that, or 71. So that's 7 years, 6 or 7 years before he was in a movie where anyone recognized him. Do you know what I mean? He's barely in that, and then he's in Chainsaw 2, and then Blue Velvet's probably his big, he's dependable again kind of thing.
And what was the other one?
Speed.
My friends. You're my friends.
Oh, The River's Edge.
River's Edge. He's in that awesome scene with Crispin Glover in that movie where it's
I love River's Edge.
It's like the King Kong. She's never seen it. It's like the King Kong and Godzilla of real life crazy people fighting in a scene.
Mark showed me that movie.
I love that. That movie is the best that what's his name's ever been.
Keanu
Reeves. Because I think Keanu Reeves is playing himself in that movie.
Why does he keep whispering to
Because
Becca?
you're allowed to get the thing on.
But why are you doing that?
Because you're talking over there.
No, we can wait for you.
But we're not going to have our own conversation until you're done.
Well, I was just going to say, based on that.
Make us all part of the conversation.
thing where one of the group of kids and one of the kids killed his girlfriend, and the other kids all saw the body, but nobody turned.
It was based on a true story?
Yeah, they were like, let's go and see this, like, I killed my girlfriend, and like, and they're like, oh yeah, and they go see the body, and they're like, oh yeah.
It's like a darker 80s Stand By Me, but with nothing good happening.
Like, went to the police and said, oh my god, they would just like bring their the next group of friends over. Yeah, here's this body. I mean, they don't even move her or anything.
Well, I'm gonna say this.
It's really good. And Dennis Hopper has a blow-up doll that's his girlfriend. And Crispin Glover's crazy.
Crispin Glover's in it.
Crazy in it.
Hey man, you don't even know what a real friend is.
He's great. He's one of my favorite actors, and he's been in so few things. Do you know what I mean? He's like been nothing. But the craziest movie that Dennis Hopper's in, have you ever seen Night Tide that he's in?
Yes.
So
he was really young.
The girl who plays the witch in that movie, his name is Marjorie Cameron. She is supposedly the whore of Babylon that will bring about the Antichrist. Her boyfriend, her husband, Jack Parsons, was a famous, he was Aleister Crowley's main guy in the U.S. for like all through World War II. And he invented one of the rockets that got us to the moon. Like the whole story of that guy's crazy. But like that's the only movie
Isn't that the guy from Scientology too?
Well, he's the guy that L. Ron Hubbard stole a lot of his ideas for Scientology.
Oh, okay.
Too, and stole his first wife too. It was L. Ron Hubbard's second wife was Jack Parsons' first wife. But he also at the time he had a huge mansion, and he sponsored tons of science fiction writers like Heinlein, Isaac Asimov, like tons of them. Like he was like super close with them, and some people think that he introduced like Forrest Ackerman to the Church of Satan and stuff too. So he has like all these weird ties within science fiction and horror. But Marjorie Cameron, the witch from that movie, or the mermaid from that movie, she's also a famous artist too. She's in Kenneth Anger's inauguration of the Pleasure Dome too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she plays the whore of Babylon in that movie. Which is it's a deep cut of like 60s psychedelia and like Satanism and stuff all mixed into stuff. She's like one of those weird focus points.
60s, man. You know, it's far out. It's happening. We went way
well, thanks, guys.
over the line.
We'll do this again.
Bring over Bad next time.
Yeah.
Mark really wants you to see Andy Warhol's Bad.
I will totally watch
You will love you
and
like it
yeah,
too.
it's real. Oh, I love it. It's absolutely great.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for doing the episode.
Okay.
And Becca,
Yes.
how do you end the episode?
We'll see you at the movies.